And finally, day 14. Today I'm creating a stat system because apparently my character shouldn't be allowed to vibe indefinitely without consequences. We're taking health, stamina, hunger, thirst, and maybe temperature, basically turning my character into a highly breakable Tamagotchi. By the end of this video, the character will be one step closer to dying from absolutely anything. As a reference, I found this GitHub repo that over-engineered this system more than the Toyotas over-engineered their engine blocks. So I'll be using it as a reference, is what I thought before I spent 2 days importing it into the project. What I actually meant to say was I will spend another 3 days writing the system from scratch, following only my premature intuition. Now that's the way of true game developers. I would be proud if I had it in me to think that of myself. So instead of showing step by step what I did, I will just tell you how it actually works overall, since I didn't keep any notes while I was making it. So basically there is the stat class. It has a base value variable which accepts modifiers. This is useful for those classic RPG stats like strength, intelligence, agility, and so on. I'll be having 3 of those kind of attributes, which is strength, agility, and vitality. I don't want to overcomplicate it since this is meant to be a survival game with RPG elements and not the other way around. I'm not programming stats, I'm building a controlled environment for suffering. Next, I needed a way to represent the survival stats, which are health, stamina, hunger, and thirst. The difference between strength and health is basically only that health has a min and max value. So here I welcome the stat pool class. It inherits from stat and has variables for min and max values. As I already said, inheritance keeps the code clean and the bugs centralized. The only functional difference is that the modifiers now modify the max value instead of the base value, and also that the base value is clamped between, min and max. This did solve one problem, but one more problem was found. The health and thirst stat have to decrease every few seconds. Not the health and thirst, the hunger and thirst have to decrease. If the player forgets a stat exists, the stat should remind them. And that's why I created drainable pool stat. I know the naming convention here is absolutely great. So the drainable pool stats adds functionality and variables that define how much and how often a stat should drain. This is all controlled by the stat controller, which is on the player. And when the game starts, the controller creates a bunch of timers if a stat needs it, and then connects to its timeout signal. The code is simple. A value goes down over time and the player panics. That's pretty much it. All these numbers are fake, but the frustration they cause is very real. And then I also created a fillable stat pool, which is the same as drainable, but just the opposite way around. This is currently only used for stamina, so when you run, you kind of regenerate stamina after. It seems much simpler once you're finished. The only concern I have at the moment is that the modifiers on drainable pool stat now modify only the max value, but I also want to be able to modify the drain amount. For example, you can have like a talent that will slow down your hunger. To add this, I would probably need to add a different type of modifier that will only work on drainable pool stats, but I will leave that for the future. What's next, you might ask? There's quite a few things I wanted to add already, but I didn't since I wanted to get like few of these base systems down before polishing. So for the next few days, I'll be adding these small details, I promise. And that's the creative error of the day committed. I'll go commit another one tomorrow.